Okay. So one example in that context, what you say is also perfectly right, that always there is no proceeding. But let us take one example of Kerala and West Bengal, where there is utterly no Dalit movement at all. There is no movement. Everybody, even every Dalits are with the left movement. But surprisingly, caste atrocities are too much there comparatively, which we speak about, where Dalit movements are prevalent. How do you see these both states?
You see, these indicators are not actually absolute. If there is a caste movement, caste atrocities highlighted, there is a Dalit movement. If there is no caste atrocities, there is no Dalit movement. You see, that is a very, very poor indicator. In fact, I mean, that could be a complex way of understanding all these kind of things. I am not very sure about West Bengal, because West Bengal, I have a feeling it's a question of very thorough marginalization. Very thorough marginalization, so you cannot even raise your head on anything at all. But in Kerala, I have a feeling it is slightly different. And spilling over it may also to some extent to Tamil Nadu also. The meaning of the scheduled caste, now of course it's called Dalit, is not uniform across the country. Has never been uniform across the country in history also. In history, the way the scheduled castes were to be identified in different regions where criteria was very different, and the way the scheduled caste relationship with the non-scheduled caste and also the upper caste was different from area to area to area and so on. Now all these things are brought into one thing for an all India purpose, have been reduced as a single thing called scheduled caste, and then the indicator is singular monolithic, and then the benefits are singular monolithic. And following all these state-initiated processes, we also, in a responsive manner, we say we also have a singular indicator saying this happens, this happens, this is all the thing. But I think that is a rather not quite right. For example, the Tamil Nadu would be meaning some of the very high-level Dalit atrocities state. Now, a few months ago, there was a study, if you remember, by the Chamber of Commerce, which has done a study, that it was only in Tamil Nadu, the 18.5 or some representation of Dalits are to be found in private industry. It's only Tamil Nadu fulfilled that, or no other state fulfilled that. And the curious point is, this was not a quota fulfillment. This was not a quota fulfillment. All those 18.5 Dalits who got into the positions were not chosen because they were Dalits. They were chosen simply because they proved eligible and necessary qualifications they had. Now that would represent an overall indirect and a comprehensive strategy of better well-being for the entire society, in which Dalits also will participate. Dalits also would participate. Now this indicator of Dalits alone being separately being measured, they would come within the measurement certain forms of atrocities, discriminations would come in. Certain other forms would not come in. Certain other forms of empowerment also would not come in. So I would rather suggest a plural way of understanding. How the question you asked, that was how come there is something happening here that is not happening there? How come something happening differently here which is happening indifferently there? That would go a long way to explain the Dalit movement itself. You see, there is the form of integration of Dalits with their own linguistic community is a highly variegated, differentiated, and also differently empowered reality. Differently empowered reality. That is my own small book on that, interpreting Kerala's social development is pointing out that. There has been, you see, the Kerala was one of the worst in terms of untouchability and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But very quickly, many of them have been removed.
Yeah.
Dalits are oppressed, there is no doubt about that. But the certain forms of oppression that was common, while many other communities are struggling to do that, are not present in Kerala. Now, how do we move on to the second level of oppression? It may require a different strategy. It may require a different strategy and an understanding how they are located within that particular social scale.
Okay.
And very often, the final point is very often these discussions take place among groups and individuals who have succeeded in reaching out to a space which is pan-Indian, which seeks to negotiate with the central state. Now, we should not generalize this for the entire population. Our Dalit problem is not the Dalit problem of the mass of people in the country. That is important to remember.